Right, Bo. We need to talk about Epping. Which is that's not too far from your neck of the woods, is it? Really?
Not far from where I was born and raised, really, out in Essex. Yeah, like Epping Forest, Debden Forest, just out on the central line. Not a million miles away from where I sort of grew up and went to school and stuff. I've been to Epping Forest a bunch of times. Used to be not a bad place.
Well, there are mass protests there. I'm not going to call them riots. That's what you'll get in the left-wing shit rags. There are a whole bunch of protests there because some random third worlder, was in the country for 8 days. 8 days. And then allegedly abused someone. Sexually assaulted someone. A little girl, a schoolgirl. Sexually assaulted a young girl. So they've been in the country for 8 days. Allegedly, because it's all going through the courts and things like that. So can't say too much because our stupid little system in the UK where you can't prejudice a court and blah, 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 blah. With this crap nonsense just to stifle speech, of course. Allegedly sexually assaulted someone. And this has obviously led to lots and lots and lots of people gathering and saying we don't want them here. Like, go away.
Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it is good. I do think it's good. There's a few things to kind of talk about with this. So this isn't going away. This doesn't seem to be going away. This has continued on from Thursday, if I remember rightly. And now we're at Sunday, and it's still going on. Like, it's been going and going and going and going. But some fascinating things have occurred during this whole this entire situation. So this was an interesting one. Not that you'd ever see this happen to anyone else, but we'll play a small bit of this. So police just smashing through things with their massive riot vans. And then here was an interesting one. I mean, that you may have blinked and missed that. That is a man walking in the road and the police speeding up. And effectively, you can see them chasing after him. They almost run him over. They go full force. Like, this behavior is not something we've seen in terms of how the police, obviously police. I mean, he's in the road and they speed up. Like, they're slow. He enters the road. Then they speed up whilst he's in the road. It's very strange behavior. So there's that. That's obviously brutal and should never have happened. I mean, that's awful. The other thing was stand up to racism, the pedo defenders, the nonce defenders, because that's what they are in this circumstance.
Yep, 100%.
Were actually bussed in. They were actually bussed in by the police. The police
by the police?
The police actually actively escorted them in to antagonize the local protesters. The local protest. Yeah. So when we talk about incitement, we talk about incitement. Who's inciting who at this point? So they got off trains, they got off buses, then the police actively escorted them from their entry point to Epping to the location directly where the protesters were.
Scumbag.
And then they literally was like, guys, come on now, we're going to take you back to the buses. This is all on video. We're going to take you back to the buses now. We're going to bus you out. So when we talk about, stand up to racism being far left agitators, just leading to incitement, their sole purpose is to come in and agitate these situations to make them, inflame tensions, community tensions, something which the police are so, against. They don't want to, inflame community tensions, do they? But only when it's white. That's fine when it's white people. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. They were busting a bunch of Tommy supporters to like some sort of mosque. They wouldn't do that. But the other way round. Yeah, the other way round. Didn't someone give one of those stand up against racism people? Didn't one of them get a bit of a clump around the ear roll?
Yeah.
I saw one of Thought I saw
Yeah,
that.
there's a guy. There's a bold guy.
I can't condone that.
I, I don't condone that. No, that's terrible. Terrible. Yeah, bosh them in the face. They a whole bunch of locals from Epping beat him up against the side of a car, basically.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. He stood up.
No,
He had
it was
he had some blood down his brow and stuff
a
like
tiny
that.
kerfuffle, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. I mean if you're anything over the age of 30, you've probably been in some more severe fights than that
No,
for sure.
it was nothing.
No,
but,
absolutely nothing.
but this is symptomatic, isn't it?
Mm.
That because there's a similar thing happened in Ireland, you remember, or Northern Ireland, wasn't there? Where someone fresh off the
Ballymena,
boat
wasn't it?
literally committed a sex crime against some little girl, some girl, and the local people just weren't having it.
Yeah.
And so now it's happening in Essex, sounds like, the Epping thing. And so the seal is broken. I think you mentioned, you said, I think it's a really good way of putting it before we started recording. The seal is broken on this thing now.
Yeah.
This sort of thing will keep happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah, spoiler alert to anyone watching. We do a pre-chit chat. So we speak about the topics at hand, and I said how this isn't the start. This is the second snowball. You know, I think last year with the Southport situation, I think that was the lid bursting off the pressure cooker. That just it popped it. It broke that seal, and I think ultimately what we're seeing now, because this issue isn't going to go away. These people aren't going to go away. They're here.
They're not going to stop committing sex crime.
Precisely, right? That's their very nature. It's their very culture, right? And to deny that is pure naivety. And it's also evil. Like, it's actively evil to deny that that's what these individuals do, because they do. It's well documented. We know it. You can't beat around the bush on this stuff. That's just what they do.
8 days.
It's just disgusting, isn't it? I mean, yeah, it's just. I mean, any time frame is bad, of course.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, but I mean that just goes to show that it's inherent within them that's what they're here to do. You know, they have absolutely no. There's no appreciation for what's been given to them. They are here to take the piss, and that's part of them doing it. Their evil acts. But yeah, the seal's gone. Like, you can't put this genie back in the bottle. Like, it's done now. And one thing or another has to give for this to stop. I think this is my own appraisal of the situation anyway. And I'd love to hear your take in a second, Bo. But you know, one thing or another will have to break for this to happen. The government will have to listen to the people and stop this. They'll have to come out and go, yeah, you're right. We're going to stop this now. Right. That's one way of stopping everything that's going to happen. Because that will put the genie back in the bottle. That will stop it. Them actually stopping doing what they're doing. Or the alternative is that these protests will continue to happen and they will become violent, which this one has become violent. You know, the riot police have come out and they've bashed people in the faces and stuff like this. And I've watched some footage from people on the ground. There was no reason to bring in the far left agitators. That ruined, you know, it moved the protest to more, the tensions became worse because the protesters were being called Nazi scum and racist. And they were like, it's literally protecting little girls, you nonce, what are you talking about? And then it kind of just went backwards and forwards, as it obviously would, because it's just sheer lunacy. So, you know, these things will just exponentially get worse and become more violent. That's how I see it anyway. And because the police have been seen to, especially in Epping, systematically actually walk asylum seekers into the hotel and protect them from the protesters, they're almost acting as actual bodyguards now. And the police have lost the public's consent now. I mean, that's gone. People forget the UK has a very unique policing system is that we're policed by consent. We give the police the consent to police us. Well, that can be removed. You can remove that, and I think we're on the brink of that going. I think that there's been one too many traitorous acts by the police. Two-tier, the how they carry out their justice, what they choose to police. All of these things point to a systematic collapse of consent from the people. And I think this will just get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Certainly just the trust in most general sense. People's trust in the police is either massively diminished or entirely gone. Because, we've just witnessed them acting, if not treasonously, then at least you could say just absolutely not acting in the interests of the people, working as some sort of private army on behalf of the invaders. Right. And so you use the expression that I've used a bunch of times of a pressure cooker. I've used that analogy a bunch of times. And so you can only keep the lid on a pressure cooker for so long if you keep heating it up anyway. And they're heating it up and heating it up and heating it up. And when the lid's just about to blow off, they'll just put more and more heavy things on top of the lid to stop it from blowing off. Well, eventually it will blow off anyway. So I saw that in the Northern Ireland version of this a few weeks ago, whenever it was, that since then I might have got the wrong end of the stick with this, so apologies if this is factually incorrect, but I did see some tweets or some headlines saying that they've moved all the boat people out of that area because it's just sort of too dangerous for them, apparently. So wait, so the protest worked. So actually standing up and doing something, making your voice heard, worked. Well, if this works in Epping, if the good people of Epping, who are not on the side of fucking child sex crime, right? If it works, then wow, what a precedent that is.
Yeah.
The police, you see the police fleeing because they're cowards. They're cowards, and a lot of them are just like women. They can't fight in the street, even if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. A load of them are just like weakling pinkos. So they're not going to be fighting in the streets for very long, even if they do try and put up a fight, if it were to come to blows. So they're weak as hell. If it worked in Northern Ireland and if it works in Epping, what a precedent that will be. And I think your prediction is absolutely right. It goes one of two ways. Either these protests keep going on and on and on because the immigrants won't stop. There's millions and millions of them, and they won't stop committing sex crimes and violent crime. So it goes one of two ways. The government deports millions of these people, thus removing the problem, or these types of protests continue, go on and on and on, and escalate into violence. Ultimately, in the end, so it can only go one of two ways. Really, there's not. I don't see much scope for any sort of third way, where we somehow convince someone that's going to come over and within 8 days commit a sex crime against a child or whatever happened. Like, you can't reason with that person. You can't really like re-educate them to be a good, normal, upstanding member of a high trust society. That's not going to work. That's not possible. So it's the other two alternatives. And well, Keir Starmer's government certainly isn't going to deport these people. So I say good luck to the Epping crew. Good luck to them. And if they can get sort of a Northern Ireland style conclusion to it, i.e. that hotel is in fact emptied out of these criminals and invaders, then what a great precedent that sets. Fingers crossed for them.
Government's got to remember, and I said this before, I'll say it again. Government's got to remember you are here at the good graces of the people of this country. You can be removed, whether you like it or not. You can be removed. People have to start remembering the government, politicians, they work for you. We've been duped into believing that it's just, Labour, Tories, and it's the same nonsense that we've just got to accept over and over and over and over and over. We've been browbeaten into this. Labour was just Tory, Tories were just Labour light. Labour was Tory light, whatever. It's the same nonsense decline over and over and over and over and over. There are the other options.
The paradigm. Sorry, Nate. Sorry, I spoke over you there.
Well, I was just going to say that there is the other option, which is civil unrest.
Yeah.
I know loads of people on the right always promote, and they constantly promote, we can vote our way out of it. I'd love to think we can. I'd love to think we can. But let's say we can't. And not that I'm a proponent of this, not that I'm advocating for it, but I'm just trying to say that the political classes forget, because there's been such a long history of peace in the United Kingdom. They forget that there can be an option where there is civil unrest.
Yeah, the paradigm that if you notice or have any sort of problem with, much less even speak up about, your women folk and girls being sexually assaulted, the paradigm that if you do that, you're the baddie, that you're a Nazi or a bigot. Okay, that paradigm cannot stand. It will not stand. It will not stand. People won't have it. We've put up for it. In fact, we've been remarkably, remarkably well behaved about it thus far.
Very subdued.
Very, very subdued for years and years and years. Remarkably so. Well, as you say, the seal is broken on the pressure cooker. We'll see how it goes.